During our honeymoon, my wife and I jetted off to Hawaii. Opting for Maui, rumored to be the ultimate haven for couples and honeymooners, we booked our stay at a beachfront hotel. Each evening, the hotel treated us to mesmerizing torch shows, lively luau's, and a variety of live entertainment. In the initial days, we indulged in plenty of drinks and explored the local culinary scene, hopping from one restaurant to another. However, on the fourth day, we were eager to tick off a bucket list item, hiking through the lush jungles of Maui. With numerous trails scattered across the island, we set out on a long drive in our rental car to reach the nearest parking lot for the Pipiwai Trail, nestled in a scenic bamboo forest. As we embarked on the trail, we were greeted by towering bamboo walls on either side, painting a picturesque scene. Our goal was to follow the trail to discover hidden ponds and majestic waterfalls, a recommendation from both locals and fellow tourists. Although the parking lot served multiple trails, we were determined to immerse ourselves in the beauty of nature along this particular route. As we ventured further into the jungle, the scenery became increasingly unfamiliar to me, unlike anything I had ever witnessed before. Suddenly, my wife halted our progress and directed my attention to a small creature just off the trail, a mongoose. It stood there, observing us with curiosity, and we couldn't help but find it utterly adorable. Intrigued, my wife decided to approach the mongoose slowly, crouching down to appear less threatening. Following her lead, I mirrored her actions. However, as expected, the little creature darted away in a flash. Undeterred, my wife playfully chased after it, her enthusiasm infectious, and I eagerly joined in the pursuit. As we veered off the beaten path, the tranquil sound of flowing water reached our ears, drawing us closer to its source. Following the melodic melody, we stumbled upon a breathtaking sight, a serene pond adorned with a graceful waterfall cascading into its crystal-clear waters. As we dipped our feet into the water, we were pleasantly surprised by its inviting temperature. Feeling adventurous, we realized the pond was deep enough for a refreshing swim, so we decided to indulge in a bit of skinny dipping, confident that we were alone in this secluded spot. To our astonishment, our assumption was quickly shattered when my wife let out a startled shriek. I turned to see her pointing at an older man, donned in a straw hat and sporting a long gray beard, peering at us from behind a tree with an unsettling intensity. In a moment of foolish politeness, I waved at him, despite the discomforting feeling that he was intruding on our privacy. His lack of response only added to the eerie atmosphere. He remained motionless, his gaze fixed upon us like a silent observer. Sensing the need to escape the uncomfortable situation, I suggested we depart immediately. However, my wife hesitated, reluctant to expose herself by emerging from the water. Feeling torn, I reluctantly called out to the man, inquiring if he needed assistance. In a deep, unexpected voice, he claimed to be searching for his dog. Though skeptical, we informed him we hadn't seen any sign of a canine companion. Without further ado, he silently retreated into the foliage. Realizing the urgency of the situation, I urged my wife to join me in leaving the pond without delay, unsettled by the encounter and eager to put some distance between us and the mysterious stranger. Emerging from the water, we hastily dressed and attempted to locate the trail, but our efforts proved futile. Our wanderings had led us astray, far from the familiar path, and we found ourselves disoriented and lost. With no cell reception to rely on and the daylight waning, panic began to grip us. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the jungle, my wife's distress escalated into tears. With each passing moment, the encroaching darkness intensified our sense of vulnerability, amplifying every rustle of leaves and snap of twigs into ominous portents. As night descended in earnest, enveloping the jungle in an impenetrable blackness, we were forced to rely on the feeble glow of our dwindling phone flashlights. Yet, even this meager source of illumination seemed to betray us, drawing unwelcome attention to our precarious situation. When the sound of footsteps echoed ominously behind us once more, I whispered urgently to my wife, urging her to extinguish her light to avoid attracting unwanted attention. For what felt like an eternity, we stumbled through the darkness, haunted by the specter of an unseen pursuer. In the pitch-black silence, my eyes gradually adjusted, and I discerned a shadowy figure lurking just beyond the reach of our feeble light. With bated breath, we watched as it crept ever closer, a silent harbinger of unknown menace. As I cautiously retreated, I shielded my wife behind me, my voice trembling with apprehension as I demanded, "What do you want?" My wife, oblivious to the looming threat, inadvertently illuminated the figure with her phone's flashlight, exposing the elderly man in the straw hat and beard, brandishing a hacksaw. In a chorus of terror, we both screamed, my wife's cry echoing with fear while I urgently urged her to flee. Without hesitation, we dashed blindly through the dense foliage, our frantic footsteps echoing through the silent night. Though engulfed in darkness, our instincts guided us as we sprinted, grateful for our sturdy footwear and hiking gear. Eventually, a flicker of hope emerged as I regained cell reception, allowing us to navigate our way back to the safety of the parking lot, a frantic journey spanning a tense 10 to 15 minutes. Collapsing into the sanctuary of our car, relief washed over us as if granted a second lease on life. The following day, we wasted no time in reporting the harrowing encounter to the Maui police, determined to alert fellow travelers to the potential dangers of that particular trail. Despite our efforts to salvage our honeymoon, the shadow of the incident lingered, casting a pall over our remaining days in paradise.
We may not be the wealthiest couple around. Both of us hold down 9-to-5 jobs to make ends meet. Back when we tied the knot, money was tight, and splurging on a lavish honeymoon just wasn't in the cards for us. In our quest for an affordable getaway, my wife, whom I'll keep anonymous, scoured the internet for budget-friendly beach destinations. Eventually, she stumbled upon a private house in the Bahamas listed on Airbnb, and we decided to seize the opportunity. Even after factoring in flight tickets and the rental fee, the total cost didn't break the bank. Upon arrival, we punched in the code for the padlock, granting us access to our temporary abode. The house boasted a spacious living area, a well-equipped kitchen, a cozy bedroom, and a single bathroom. However, the real gem was the expansive back deck, which led directly to our own secluded stretch of beach. Our first day was spent basking in the sun and frolicking in the waves. As the day waned, we strolled to a nearby restaurant, treating ourselves to a relaxing dinner, content in the simplicity of our honeymoon retreat. Upon our return, things took a strange turn. The moment we stepped through the door, it was evident that something was amiss. Our belongings, sandals, bags, and the like, appeared to have been rearranged, yet nothing was missing. Naturally, we playfully accused each other of tampering with our stuff beforehand. Seeking to shake off the odd vibe, we retreated to the hot tub on the back deck, hoping to unwind. However, our relaxation was short-lived when we both heard a noise emanating from inside the house. A distinct bang, or perhaps the sound of a door closing. Intrigued and slightly apprehensive, I reluctantly exited the hot tub, leaving a trail of water droplets in my wake. Inside, I found all the doors securely shut, though I couldn't recall if they had been left open earlier. Despite my growing unease, a thorough search of the rooms and bathroom revealed no sign of intruders. Returning outside to retrieve a towel and don my clothes, I couldn't shake the nagging feeling of suspicion that lingered in the back of my mind. Though we were both eager to move past the strange occurrences, a sense of caution remained ever present. On the second day, we lounged on the beach once more before venturing into some of the bustling tourist areas of the Bahamas for dinner. Upon our return, however, a sense of unease crept over us once again. Although our belongings appeared undisturbed, the bathroom and bedroom doors were mysteriously ajar, a detail that seemed out of place. While we couldn't definitively recall whether we had left them open or closed, the nagging feeling of discomfort persisted. Opting to err on the side of caution, we double-checked that all windows and doors were securely locked. That evening, we decided to forgo the hot tub, opting instead to unwind with a movie marathon in the cozy confines of the living room, taking advantage of the streaming services available on the TV. Despite there being no upper floor to the house, we couldn't shake the sensation of faint noises echoing from above, a subtle tapping or rustling that sparked our imagination. Perhaps it was just the wind, or maybe some local wildlife exploring the roof. As the night wore on, our nerves became increasingly frayed, and even the slightest sound seemed to set us on edge. At one point, while I lay in bed awaiting my wife's return from the shower, her sudden scream pierced the silence, sending a jolt of fear coursing through me. I sprang out of bed, propelled by adrenaline, rushing to join my wife in the bathroom. With trembling hands, she shut off the water and relayed the alarming news. There was something lurking in the vent above the shower. Climbing onto the edge of the tub, I peered into the darkness of the vent, straining to discern any movement or sound within its depths. Though I couldn't see anything, faint noises emanated from within, confirming our suspicions of a small creature taking refuge in the house's ventilation system. Despite the unsettling discovery, we resolved to push aside our concerns for the time being, reasoning that we only had one more day left of our stay. It wasn't our problem to deal with. Together, we retired to bed, hoping for a peaceful night's rest. My next recollection was being roused from sleep by my wife's urgent shaking. As I groggily opened my eyes, her expression of sheer horror sent a chill down my spine. In the eerie silence of the room, I strained my ears to listen, and there it was, the unmistakable sound of frantic whispering emanating from the ceiling, particularly from one of the ceiling vents. That was the breaking point. Grabbing my phone, I dialed the number of the Airbnb owner, the ringing echoing through the room. But amidst the ringing, another sound emerged, a strange vibration from above us. Instantly, a chilling thought crossed my mind. Could there be an upstairs to this house that the owner neglected to mention? As quickly as the vibrating had begun, it ceased, leaving an unsettling silence in its wake. Nevertheless, the call persisted on my end, prompting me to investigate further. With trembling hands, I activated my phone's flashlight and directed its beam upward through the vents. In that fleeting moment, I caught sight of someone peering down through the vent into our room, their eyes piercing the darkness. Without hesitation, we sprang into action, hastily gathering our belongings in a frenzy of panic. Within a matter of seconds, we were out the front door, our hearts pounding with adrenaline-fueled fear. Racing down the sandy dirt road, we didn't stop until we reached a nearby street, finally pausing to catch our breath and collect our wits. That night and the following one, we sought refuge in a budget-friendly hotel, eager to put as much distance between us and that unsettling house as possible. On our final day, we whiled away the hours at the airport, counting down the minutes until we could leave this ordeal behind us. Upon our return home, we wasted no time in reporting the incident to Airbnb. Thankfully, they were swift to respond, issuing a full refund for our stay. Moreover, it seemed they took the matter seriously, as the owner of the house had their Airbnb account suspended, likely a measure to prevent similar incidents from occurring in the future. Although we considered pursuing legal action, ultimately, we were content with the resolution provided by Airbnb. While nothing of ours was missing, the lingering sense of unease persisted. Who knows what clandestine activities the owner may have been engaging in while we were absent from the house. In the end, our priority was our safety and peace of mind, and we were grateful to have emerged from the experience unscathed, if a little shaken.
Hi there, I'm Alex. You might think that with my roles as both a police officer and a volunteer firefighter, I'd have plenty of stories to share. But believe it or not, the most harrowing moment of my life didn't unfold amidst flames or gunfire. It happened during my honeymoon. My wife Lisa and I were over the moon, having spent our first night in a picturesque hotel in Brazil. Despite an early start the next day, we decided to unwind with a few drinks at the hotel bar. Everything seemed perfect as we reminisced about our day on the beaches of Sao Paulo. However, my blissful reverie was shattered when I noticed something unsettling. The bartender's gaze wasn't just casual, it was fixated on Lisa. His eyes followed her every move, undeterred by any attempt to disguise his interest. It was as if she was the only person in the room. What's worse, Lisa remained oblivious, chatting away innocently while the bartender poured her drink. As she requested another drink, her discomfort began to escalate. The bartender's intense stare and heavy breathing were impossible to ignore. I intervened, attempting to defuse the situation, but the tension hung thick in the air. "Is there something on my wife's face?" I asked, desperately trying to mask my growing unease. "Hey, are you even listening?" The man finally tore his gaze away from Lisa, fixing his attention on me. In my line of work, I've learned not to be intimidated and to confront such situations head-on. But I'll be honest, despite my outward composure, I felt a tinge of fear. After a brief moment, the man wordlessly turned away and resumed his tasks behind the bar. What was that all about? Lisa urged me to say something to him, but I brushed it off. "He's been eyeing you for a while now. I'm not interested in that drink anymore. Let's get out of here." With that, we hastily retreated to our room. I wasn't concerned about the drink. We had arranged for the bill to be charged to our room when we checked out. By the time we reached our room, the alcohol had caught up with us, and we quickly drifted off to sleep. I woke up to the soft glow of moonlight filtering through the window, illuminating my face. Glancing at the clock, I realized it was only 4 a.m. I'm usually a deep sleeper, especially after a few drinks. So what jolted me awake so suddenly? I didn't have to search long for the answer. It was right in front of me, lurking in the darkness at the foot of my bed. There he stood, a dark silhouette, unmoving and ominous. It didn't take me long to recognize him, the bartender from earlier. But this time, his gaze wasn't fixed on Lisa, who slept peacefully beside me. No, this time, his eyes bore into mine with an unsettling intensity. My instinct was to leap to my feet and confront him, to protect us from whatever sinister intentions he harbored. But to my horror, my body refused to cooperate. I was paralyzed, every limb immobilized as if encased in ice. Panic surged through me, my mind racing as my muscles remained frozen in place. Meanwhile, the bartender stood before us, his left hand clutching something unseen, while his right hand twitched nervously. What was he planning? Was he armed? And as if his erratic movements weren't unsettling enough, I noticed him scratching his body frantically, a sign of agitation that sent shivers down my spine. A noise stirred beside me, and I turned to find Lisa awake, her expression wrought with fear and helplessness. Unable to scream, she wept silently, her eyes conveying a profound sense of dread. In that moment, I realized we were at the mercy of a man whose presence loomed over us like a dark cloud. Seeing Lisa's despair ignited a fire within me. I reminded myself of my training as a police officer, steeling myself to confront the threat head-on. Even though I lay defenseless and prone, I vowed to protect my wife at all costs. Summoning all my courage, I shattered the oppressive silence with a question. "What are you doing here? What do you want?" In response, the man's gaze intensified, his movements fluid as he advanced toward us. Every instinct screamed at me to flee, to fight, but I remained rooted to the spot, bracing myself for whatever came next. To my astonishment, instead of violence, the man placed a glass on the bedside table beside the bed, his gaze never leaving mine. "You forgot your drink," I called out as the man turned toward the exit, his departure as enigmatic as his arrival. With one final glance in my direction, he vanished into the darkness beyond. Hastening to the door, I flicked on the lights, illuminating the room and banishing the oppressive shadows. In the newfound clarity, Lisa and I clung to each other, our tears mingling in a shared moment of relief and disbelief. After a few minutes, we mustered the courage to seek help from the hotel authorities. However, our efforts to locate the bartender proved futile. He had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only his belongings. The following day, the hotel manager approached us with news. The man was no longer employed at the hotel. They had intended to terminate his employment due to his erratic behavior, but his sudden disappearance rendered that unnecessary. From that night onward, he was never seen again. Though we departed the hotel a few days later, the memory of that chilling encounter lingered, haunting my dreams like a specter. Even now, whenever I awaken, I can't shake the feeling that he's still out there, lurking in the shadows, his sinister gaze fixed upon us. Yet, whatever malevolent intentions he harbored that night, he never dared to act upon them.